Greetings, class. I didn't realize it was going to be quite this long when I had a presentation and we had School Social Work Month events, that we would have such a gap between the time that we met. But as promised, I had been thinking about some things that could be done to help in bringing up the grades for those who needed it. So I have a class project that I'd like for you to complete that incorporates everything that we are as social workers and as social work students. There is a student who was at Sacred Heart University in Fair Lawn, I believe that's the right name, close to Connecticut. Her name's Caitlin Nelson. Caitlin was a junior student at Sacred Heart. She died, I believe, like March 30th, maybe March 31st. She was participating in an event that would raise funds by having a pancake eating contest. Unfortunately, she may have died from choking or maybe even an allergic reaction. The cause of her death has not yet been determined. But as a social work student who was fully engaged in the clinical track and processes, she was a part of an organization that volunteered to provide counseling services to those who had survived the Sandy Hook event, as you know, that killed 20 children and about 6 educators. So she really had a mind for the mental health capacities, as she was a trained youth for mental health first aid. And I thought that there was something that we might be able to do that would help aid the university in coping with her death, as well as to capitalize on those areas that you have already engaged in. So this is what I'd like for you to do. First, I'd like for you to research Sacred Heart University so that you can see what the mission looks like for the BSW program and for the university. You are to take your theoretical underpinnings that you are studying, that you're already researching. I'd like for you to comprise a 2-page paper from the standpoint of how you help other classmates, other social work students to deal with this death, to deal with moving forward. So you're to use your theoretical assignment, and you are to advise them in terms of how this theoretical base would help them to move forward and to deal with this untimely death. So I'd like for you to do that, and our editors for this will be Mr. Archer and Miss Griffin. So they will do the introduction, and they will also do the conclusion. They will look at everything and put it together, because if you're using any techniques, I don't want them duplicated. So they will have to go through the paper to be able to remove that. So these papers will be put together in one composite. You have about 2 weeks to get that done. Now, I know that you have the time because you've mastered all of your mind tasks and completing that. You're already doing the research on your particular theoretical base, but I want this to really emulate your theoretical assignment. I want you to put it into practical use to help them in how they deal with this particular untimely death of a fellow student, okay, in social work program, who was just a year shy of graduating. I'm going to send this after it's completed to Dr. Brown, who is the BSW program director there, in hopes that they'll be able to use this in some way, shape, or form, or just to add to all of the accolades that have been given. And I thought that this was much more a practical use of that. So we will meet in class, of course, on Thursday. And should you have questions for me, you can email me in the interim, or we can talk about this Thursday in class. But I'm looking for some heavy scholarship. Yes, you can use your textbook, but I want that to be minimal. I want definitely to have some good statistics in your deliberation, and I want you to use several research articles or journals that will help guide this process. Okay, so you may be a little fuzzy on it, but I'm thinking that you've already had most of what it takes to get to the end point of this. Okay? All right. See you Thursday.